All right, welcome back. And we are on our second video here, but really our first one that has some real content. Hopefully you were able to get the first video understood, how to open, just the general layout of Inventor and so on. But this video is going to be more focused on particulars like creating a new part. So without further ado, again, we've already opened Inventor. Again, mine takes me to a home screen that shows me my recent documents that I may have used, created, edited, so on. And so with that said, I want to create a new part. I will recreate the fidget spinner in later videos, but for now, anytime you want to start a new part, now remember, a new part is different than a new assembly, which is different also from a new drawing file. But all that said, today we are just starting a new part because we are going to create multiple parts and pieces that we will later bring together in an assembly file and assemble them together. So lots of ways to do it. New parts, you can go to File, and you go to New, and you can choose right from there, Part, or a sheet metal part, which we will not be doing today. You will do an assembly, not a weldment. So we will work again with part, assembly, later in drawings, today for part. Probably the longest way to get there. The easiest way to get there, in Inventor 25, at least on my home screen, I can just go over here to New, and I can just say Part and click on Part. It'll open up a new file for me. Another option, kind of your final option here, is way up here, the little folded over piece of paper. That is the icon for New. But if you want, I can just click on I can click on the arrow next to it, and that'll give me all my options there as well. I don't know why I'm showing you all those. It's just kind of crazy to think that that's all the different ways you can start a new part. But it kind of, I guess, lends itself to the idea that that's what design is. That's what engineering is, really, right? But everything in this software, it seems like if I wanted to do one particular task, there's usually at least 2 or 3 ways you can go about doing it. So let's go ahead. I'll do the way I would normally do it. Drop down arrow, click on part, give it a second to load. Again, this is very complex software, more than a Google Doc, so it takes a little bit to load it up. So what we talked about in that first video, we used the term ribbon, and the ribbon is, again, this taller white strip of icons. This is pretty much where you house all the things you're going to be doing. Now, in particular, right now I'm under the tab for 3D model. What you'll find is if I go to the tab for sketch, all my icons pretty much changed. A lot of them are dimmed out, and part of that's because I don't have anything that I can do a copy or a stretch to. So it'll dim out any commands you don't have access to or the ability to use. We have annotate, inspect, a lot. We'll get into those. Maybe we won't in the videos, but feel free to explore those on your own. So with a new part, you are basically, imagine this gray space in front of you as a blank tabletop, and you are trying to create the part that might be 3 or 4 different parts put together. Imagine just creating one individual part of that full assembly. So with that, the very first thing you do is you come up here to the sketch. The way Inventor works is it is, for the most part, seems like it's additive engineering and design. We are going to start with nothing on our work table. In fact, maybe this will help you guys. Here is our workspace right here. Okay, so imagine this 3-dimensional workspace that I'm working with. I need to be able to create a sketch, and then from the 2-dimensional sketch, I can then create a 3rd dimension and make a solid part. So to do that, we go up here to our Start 2D Sketch. If this is not already saying Start 2D Sketch, it may say something else. It might say Start 3D Sketch. all you have to do is click on the icon underneath, sorry, the space below the icon, and it'll allow you to choose 2 or 3D. For everything we will do a 2D sketch, so you can select Start 2D Sketch. And again, as you see, there are my workspaces. In order to create a sketch, I need to have a flat surface to draw on. So for now, I can just choose the XY plane. So if I just put my mouse over the green, it highlights it. If I click on it, it seems like it went away. But what it's done is it has taken me to the XY plane, and I am now looking directly on it like a piece of paper. So let's do some really basic functions here. We have up here on our ribbon, notice that it jumped me over to the Sketch tab automatically because I asked the first command to create a 2D sketch. So now notice my trim, my copy, my stretch, all these commands are now available because I have a sketch that I am working on. So let's say I just wanted to draw a perfect cube. Over here, I have lots of different options here. A line command, straight line command, circles, arcs, and two-dimensional shapes, let's call them. Notice every time I put my mouse over it, more and more stuff keeps showing up, right? Well, the nice thing about Inventor is it is an educational-based software. So if I wanted to know, what does the rectangle command do? Well, if I hover over long enough, it'll actually open this whole instruction manual, and it'll show you what to do. For us, I could create a rectangle using 4 different lines. But since I know that I want a rectangle, I can use the command for it, and it'll actually create the rectangle in 2 clicks instead of like 6 or 8. So honestly, you can probably play around with this and learn a lot more than just listening to me talk. So I'll kind of go through this a little quicker here. So once I've chosen a command, whether it's a circle command, the line, the rectangle, it does not matter. In this case, the rectangle command, I need to tell it, just like in the icon, this instruction says specify the first point as the start of the rectangle, then specify the second point to define the width and height. So for example, I'm going to come down here, and if I move my mouse close enough to the origin, you'll notice that the X and the Y position snap to 0. We call that snapping. So if I go to the 0, 0, the origin, and if I click once, I have started a rectangle. Notice as I move my mouse around, it is trying to find the opposite corner, which would define the width and the height of my rectangle. So if I come out a little ways and I click again, it will create the rectangle. My mouse is now free to move. So once I have defined my shape, I need to dimension it to the numbers that I need. So in order to do that, we have over on our ribbon, more off to the right, is the dimension command. So I click on the dimension command. Easiest way to do it is click on the edge that I know that I want the dimension for. So if I have a nice straight shot like this, I can click on that. And if I move my mouse up, it is best practice to move it a little bit away, not like, we're not gonna like go crazy far away from my shape here, okay? We're just simply going to come a little bit off the part, try and center it best you can, and you click. Once I've clicked the dimension, it is allowing me to change the dimension. So it's close enough to 2.5, but let's call this a 2-inch dimension. So 2, and then I can just hit the green check. Now I have set, notice it changes the shape of it, the size of it. I'm still in the dimension command. I now want to come over and I want to dimension the height. Since I said I was making a cube, I'm going to come a little bit off the side. I'm going to click, and I'm going to hit 2, and then I can just hit enter. I don't have to hit the green check mark. I can hit the enter key. Notice that it changed the height. I am now 2 inches by 2 inches. I do want to go back just temporarily. Whoop. Let me delete that one. I want to say I'm in dimension mode, and if for some reason I I don't have a straight shot, or for any reason you want to dimension like from this top edge down to the bottom, but for any reason I can't just click on this line. Like here we can, but if you can't, there's reasons why later. If I want to, instead of clicking on this edge and saying this needs to be 2 inches, what I can do is I can actually choose the lines between. So watch this. I click on the top, click on the bottom, and once I've chosen 2 dimensions or edges, it says, oh, you must want the dimension between these lines. Notice it did the exact same thing as if I were to have chosen the green, but it's just a little bit different way of getting to it. I hit 2, I hit enter, and we're good. Once I have all the dimensions, I know that this thing is the right size, shape, and all that. I'm done with my sketch. I want to pull this 2-dimensional square into 3 dimensions and make a cube. So in order to do that, it's very simple. We come up here, we finish our sketch. Always, 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 green check mark. Finish your sketch. Now, notice it zoomed me a little too far. I can't see my whole shape. Your mouse has a scroll wheel in the middle, and you can scroll up from bottom up. That is a zoom out feature. If I go top down, it zooms in. Now, it gets a little tricky because watch this, if I put my mouse in this corner, watch what happens when I zoom out. It zooms me towards my mouse, right? So some kids get really confused if they're in the middle of the screen and they do this, and then they're like talking to their friend, and then they're like, oh, I want to zoom. All of a sudden I zoom and bam, it's gone. I can't find it anymore. Well, I can, but so do be cautious when you zoom. It zooms the screen wherever your mouse is. So ideally, you put your mouse in the middle of the shape that you're zooming on, and you'll be fine. Let's say I zoom out, and then I zoom some more, and then I go crazy, and oh my God, I lost my shape. What do I do? If you happen to do this, for any reason, you end up losing your shape, there's a little home button right here. If I click on home, it brings everything back to the right size, shape, orientation. All right, we are nearing the end of this. We are going to get one more command out of this video, and that is the extrude. Extrude is a really fancy way of describing pulling something or stretching it out into a 3rd dimension. If you ever used Play-Doh machines and toys, Play-Doh had some really cool machines, I guess you'll call them, where you put the Play-Doh in and you push it through and it would come out in different shapes. Well, imagine your computer doing that to this shape. Imagine my square is the shape I want my Play-Doh to come out. When I say extrude, notice that it has a whole bunch of information, but really what we need to worry about most is, do I want it to come towards me, or I can flip that and it'll go that direction. Okay. I can also choose that if I say I want this, or we want a cube, so I want this thing to be 2 inches. So there's our cube. If I want to go the other direction, we can. I also have an option here where it's symmetric, and it's symmetric between the work plane that we worked on. So one of those inches of material comes towards me, 1 inch of it goes the other way. So traditionally, direction 1 is fine, you're good. Tell it what distance to go and hit OK. So there you have it. We've learned how to open a part, how to create a sketch, how to draw a rectangle, turn it into a square, and how to extrude it into a cube. So those commands, they will get you a long ways, because you can draw anything you want, right? You don't have to make a square. I could have drawn a circle and an arc. You know, I mean, there's lots of different things you can do with this, as long as you get the shape you want. You finish your sketch, go to extrude, and you're good to go. So there you have it. There is video number 2. There we go. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll do a little bit more making and we'll do some assembling.